Today, 70% of adolescents have drank alcohol before the age of 21, and 11% of adolescents make up the American drinking population. So, do you still think that the minimum legal drinking age law is effective? Just like me, you probably realized how ineffective this law really is, and you're curious to know why this is. As a 19-year-old college student who has been around the 70% of adolescents who drink, I can give you great insight into why this is and why the law is so outdated. The minimum drinking age law is superfluous to the remainder of the laws that apply to an 18-year-old in the United States. With such a high minimum age for drinking, we are no better than other nations with lower minimum legal drinking ages. Today, I will tell you about the many other things that an 18-year-old is entitled to, our outraging statistics related to alcoholism, and about a beneficial solution to consider that will really help solve the issue of alcoholism. As an 18-year-old, you can do about anything and everything but consume alcohol. In the United States, on the day of your 18th birthday, you are considered an adult, where you are free and responsible enough to make your own choices. As an 18-year-old, you can legally go to prison, you can enlist in the military, go to war, be part of a jury and decide the freedom of somebody else. You can even buy a house or get married. The list of what an adult can do in the United States is endless, yet they cannot drink alcohol. An adult in the United States is responsible enough to know the difference between right and wrong, which is why they are given these rights that require a great amount of responsibility and maturity. According to the law, an 18-year-old can fight in war. Well, a veteran describes war where young soldiers in combat inevitably confront killing, they take life away from others, and in doing so breach one of the most fundamental moral values of their society, often with long-term consequences. So in other words, the law claims that an adult is responsible and mature enough to fight for the country, use extremely deadly weapons, and if necessary, kill another human, but within no circumstances can an 18-year-old legally drink a beer. An 18-year-old in the United States can also be trialed as an adult, where only felons spend time behind bars. An inmate in the Florida prison Hempstead describes prison as a department of corruption, where they are given air trays filled with nothing, and when the food is actually delivered, it might be laced with urine, feces, laxatives, medication, or even chemicals. Inmates shiver and sweat through wild gyrating temperatures. He also complains about having to share cells with drug dealers and killers, where crucial beatings occurred every night that required over 150 stitches. So an 18-year-old can be put through these horrible and dangerous conditions that exist in prison, but once again are not responsible to consume alcohol. So my question to you is, how does this make sense, and where is the relevance and the logic behind what an adult can do in the United States and what they can't do? How is it that an 18-year-old can go to war and handle deadly weapons and kill someone or be responsible enough to suffer the gruesome conditions that occur in prison, but is not ready to drink alcohol? The truth is that there is no relevance behind the minimum legal drinking age in the United States. If an 18-year-old adult is allowed to legally kill someone or spend the rest of their lives in prison for a mistake, then they should be allowed to drink a beer. The logic behind the law is irrelevant if we compare it to the rights that an 18-year-old possesses, and it is easily shown in the country statistics related to alcohol. Although we have one of the highest minimum legal drinking ages in the world, we are no better than those with lower MLDAs. With 70% of adolescents drinking alcohol before their 21st birthday, the MLDA seems to be very ineffective. The United States, compared to other countries with an MLDA of 16 or younger, like Germany and Italy, has more alcohol-related deaths annually. According to an article by Statista, the U.S. has a high rate of road accident fatalities through alcohol at 31%, while the rate in Germany is only at 9%. And according to the National Institute on Alcohol, in Italy, 18,000 Italian residents died from causes related to alcohol drinking, while in the United States, according to the National Institute on Alcohol, an estimated of 88,000 people die from alcohol-related deaths annually, making alcohol the third leading preventable cause of death in the United States. With such a high MLDA, you would think that we would have the lowest deaths related to alcohol. How is it that a country with 16-year-old drinkers prevent more alcohol-related deaths than us? It is time that we all ask ourselves how such a high MLDA prevents deaths and has helped our country. How has this benefited our country? Well, the truth is, it really has not, because at the end of the day, we still have one of the highest death rates related to alcohol, and 11% of the drinking population is still made up of underage drinkers. This law has failed us, and it does not make a difference. It has been overall inefficient. With no purpose or relevance behind the law, why is it expected to be followed? Alcohol has always been prohibited, but never told why, and has become the forbidden fruit for adolescents under the age of 21. We must do more. We must do more to change the way that alcohol is portrayed. An important difference between the United States and the countries in Europe like Italy is the way that alcohol is viewed. The idea of alcohol in Italy is very different from the one that adolescents have in the United States. Alcohol is viewed as a social activity in both countries, yet with very different ideals. According to an article by the Odyssey, in Italy, children are eased into the drinking culture, and it is normal for children and their parents to drink a beer or a glass of wine with dinner. They are taught at an early age that alcohol is something to drink casually in moderation, not to get drunk. While in the United States, the Odyssey claims that young people especially engage in binge drinking. Their goal for drinking is to get drunk because it is glorified by adults, movies, and in social media. The issue is the way that alcohol is portrayed in our country, not the age that it is legally allowed to be consumed. Our main issue is to solve the way that alcohol is viewed in our country. Alcohol has become a forbidden fruit for adolescents because of the way that it is portrayed in our country. The first step in solving the issue is to lower the MLDA to 18, where an adult is free to make their own alcohol-related decisions. The second step is to make sure that the people of America, especially teenagers, are seriously informed on the harms of alcohol abuse. Educating teenagers on the harms before they are adults can change the perspective of alcohol once again. It should be something taken seriously, and setting a higher MLDA is not the answer. We need a world with a lower MLDA and provided mandatory education to all teens on the harms of alcohol. It should be the priority and the law. Ultimately, the MLDA is irrelevant, inefficient, and has created a bad stigma in America. The minimum drinking age law is superfluous to the remainder of the laws that apply to an 18-year-old in the United States. Even with such a high minimum drinking age, we are no better than other nations with a lower drinking age. We need well thought out laws for the people, not laws that prohibit with no reasoning behind them. We need to face the truth. Underage drinking is happening as we speak. Lower the minimum legal drinking age in the United States. I don't know how to switch the camera, but this is my audience right here.